All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome back for another Authors Impact Hub podcast. I am your host, Juanita Woodson, and I am excited today. I get to interview the amazing Florenza Lee. I'm excited. I was just on her podcast,
You
and
were.
today I get to interview her. So I always let the authors do their own introductions. Of course, don't tell too much because we'll go into the Q&A, but I am going to pass it to you if you can tell us just a little bit about who you are. And I know I say a little bit, but you wear many hats. So just tell us who you are, where you are from, and then we'll go into the Q&A.
Okay. I am Florenza Lee. I am an author, publisher, podcaster, speaker, mindfulness coach, and narrative coach. I live in Chagrin Falls, Ohio, although I've been gone for about 40 years. Married an amazing military guy. Well, he wasn't military when I met him, but he knew he had to get his whole life together. And yeah, so I'm just really truthfully enjoying everything that I'm doing.
Okay, love that. So before we get into the Q&A, what is one thing that people may not know about you just by looking at you?
Mama will be 62 in June. Most
What?
people don't get that part. And this is
Okay.
my hair.
Yes.
It does its own thing. Today she's kind of sort of behaving. Um, let's see. I have about 30 titles. Um, I write under 5 pen names. There are books under all of them, but not all of them are yet published. What else? Wow. I think that's probably like it. I'm a Gemini, like a true Gemini, like a picture perfect poster child version of a Gemini. So,
Okay. 30 titles. Okay. So what sparked your love for storytelling then? When did you realize your voice had impact beyond just being on a page?
ooh, great question. So, I've always understood the power of words um, at a spiritual level.
Okay.
So, I've always been a storyteller, even before I understood that that was an actual space to occupy. Now I'm a master storyteller, but even as a child, I always use words and stories to bring people together, to share information. So I've always done that. When it comes to the written word, I started with poetry and things like that, just to kind of share my feelings, my emotions, to help me through some rough patches. But it was when story came to me and demanded that it be generated through written form that I actually started publishing. And for anyone that's followed my story, they know that I never set out to actually publish. One day I wrote what would become 12 books. Of those original 12, 4 are published, 5 if you consider the one that I wrote that night. And that's when I started the journey of publishing, because story came to me and demanded to be published.
Okay. Okay. So 30 books is a long journey. So can you take us back? What was the first title that you published?
Mhm. So the first title that was published was my mindfulness children's book, The Tale of Max, the Mindless Dog, a children's book on mindfulness. I love long titles, but it was not the first book that was written. The first book that was written was Welcome Home, Daddy Love Lexi, which is the first of a 4-book military series. Actually, it's 12 books in that series, but 3 have been published. And Max was given in a dream. 100% of the book that is now in 31 countries is the original dream. And only one word changed from the dream to what people have in their homes. But most of my children's books and some of the adults come through dreams, either night dreams or daydreams.
Okay, love it. So what made you, I know you said through dreams, what has made you step into the children's book writing area?
It was children's books that came to me. So again, never really considered that I would be in this space. Now that I'm in it, I love it. But
Okay.
it was not anything that I initially set out to do.
Okay, okay, because I know you said that you've always had a love for storytelling, but I know with writing you can go in so many different directions. So
Mhm,
I wanted to
mhm.
ask that question. Well, what made you start to write children's books? Yes. So your children's books are in the social emotional learning to life. Why was it important for you to center emotional learning, emotional growth in your storytelling?
Outside of the fact again, that that was the way stories came to me, because of who I am and the way that I coach and the way that I speak, and even when I occupied like pulpit space, it was always around us being completely well. Not just the physical wellness, not just the financial wellness, not just the relational wellness, but that emotional wellness as well. And when we look at where that wellness starts, generally we try to start it when a child is in puberty or when we're going through something. And the realization is that wellness starts at birth. It actually starts before. It starts with proper prenatal care. It starts with taking your vitamins and eating right. All of those things that's required so that when we are formed in the womb, we're formed in that womb well. And it just seems like it now looking back, that it was just a natural progression for me in that I've always been in tune to wellness, and to now be a catalyst for children in terms of their social emotional wellness, that's the beginning of a child's building their character development, right? They're being productive citizens in our society. Like it all starts with that. And what better place for me to leave my imprint than right there in that space that's ground zero, if you will, for children developing and becoming critical thinkers and productive, right? And all those great things.
Yes. As you were saying that, Jeremiah 29:11 popped in my head, like right then and there. It made me think of that. So, what kind of feedback have you received from parents and educators in regards to your book so far?
Oh, wow. Great question. Generally, it's from the children themselves that'll say, "Oh, I never really thought that I would like reading until I read your books."
Oh,
And I have grandparents. As a matter of fact, we were shoving books in envelopes yesterday for Christmas gifts, where grandparents reach out and say, my grandchild only likes to get your books first, or because they read your books, now they visit the libraries more often, or they're excited about reading, they're excited about learning. And just being a part of that, especially within our community, the Black brown community. And I firmly believe that the great equalizer is education. And when you look at the areas that your Black and brown communities are challenged the most, either internally, us ourselves, or externally, systems that's in place, they really do stem around education. And if you can inspire a child to love to read, there is nothing, absolutely nothing, when I say absolutely nothing, that can stop them. The sky is the limit.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. So what has been on this journey, right? Because I know this journey, 30 books, what has been maybe one of the most exciting parts for you on this journey?
Books saved my life as a teenager. There are a lot of people that perhaps that are listening to this podcast and they're familiar with one of my books, Purpose Life According to God's Plan. And I talk a little smidge. I am not an open door person, right? I believe that those things that God threw as far as the east is from the west, I don't go digging up sins. I'm not going to go dig up my past just to put it in a book. But there are certain things in this book that I did share. And when I realized that this was the space that I could be in, right? And so what's that best thing that I heard was being able to share my story in a way that it brings about healing.
Okay. Okay. I got you. That's why you like the children's book space.
Yeah, well, see, going back to that first question about what is that people wouldn't know, it's not necessarily my favorite space. Adult space is, but children's stories are the ones that keep coming. And I'm going to tell you, out of all the genres, children's books are the hardest to write. They are
I get
the
that.
most difficult.
I get that.
The
I
most difficult.
but you how many children's books have you written? Because I know your genre is, I mean, your work, your portfolio is not all just children's books.
No. So under my name, Florenza Lee, and I do have translations. So several of the books are in like 8 translations. Eh, but of the standalone, the actual titles, we're probably at 24, I think. I don't know. I haven't counted. Um, and but my true space, like that space that mama really, really liked, is under those pen names where my mama and my pastor don't know what's going on. I know Jesus do. Don't come for me. But that space with the pen names is really where I enjoy being. I'm just
Okay.
called to the children's space.
Okay. So if I can ask, how do you flip the hat back and forth between those two spaces?
Actually, it's like 6 spaces. I let story lead me there. Like just today, there was a book that I had written, it's been maybe 6 or 7 years ago, and it was part of something else and brilliantly written. Let me tell you, I didn't even know I could write adult books because I was not in that space.
Okay.
And I kind of got away from the core group and I still had all these stories, right? And just this morning, I woke up and I'm like, no, we're going to dust this baby off. We're going to remove what needs to be removed and we're going to refashion her and refashion her for what's going to be the first book of a 6 book series for new adults. And the pen name for those books is Zoe Astera and or Astara, depending on where you put the emphasis. And that is just a space I really think I'm going to love being in. And in addition to that, the Women's Lit with Magical Realism under Madison J. Albright. Y'all remember that name? That's a space that I really love.
Okay, I love that. So we just talked about hats, right? Author hats with your pen names. So you are author, you are a publisher, you are a coach, you are a speaker, you are a wife, a mom. How do those roles all come together for you?
There was a time that I struggled with all the titles. As a matter of fact, going back to that purpose book, I actually wrote about this incident in there, and that I have these visions where I'm walking and talking with God and such, or Jesus, and we're just kind of chilling. And in this vision, I am like struggling with all of these hats on my head, and I'm just really trying to maintain them, and they're wobbly, and I'm doing everything that I can to keep them upright.
Yeah.
And as we're walking, I look over in the corner and there's another hat. And I really am frustrated now because I really feel like that God is putting something on me that literally has become more than I can bear. Like I am absolutely struggling to maintain the hats that I have, and some of which I've not even experienced yet. Like there are some titles on these hats that I've not yet even walked through. And this was years and years and years ago, but I know that if I saw it, it's going to come to pass. And so I look at this hat and I began to cry because I'm thinking I'm going to fail. And Jesus just looks at me with these caring eyes, and he never said a word. And I walk over and I do like this, I call it a little kimchi squat, where I squatted down and the hats are still up there. And I look over to the hat and I turn it around and it simply says obedience. And I threw all the other hats away and only put on that one hat. And I can tell you, Juanita, from that day and this vision occurred, it's been now maybe 12, 13 years since that vision. Anything that I do that does not fall within the realm of obedience, I don't do it.
Yes.
So the titles are there, but if they don't occupy that space of that one word, obedience, it just doesn't get done. And so I know that was a long answer, but listen, that is the answer.
No, that was the gym. That was so necessary, so right on time. That was amazing. I think that's very important for so many people to hear because I think about this, if you think about, right, like balance, the question,
Hmm. Hmm.
how do we balance, especially like as moms, like how do we balance all the things? And obedience is definitely
Right.
the answer. A lot of times we carry so many things that were never intended for us to carry.
Yes.
That was on time. We can have a podcast about that all by itself. I think that conversation is so necessary. I could go and have that conversation all day long. I love that. But I will move off of my soapbox. So, what has been the biggest lesson you've learned about the publishing industry that every author should know early on?
What has led to my success? And I can only speak for me. My books are in 31 languages. Sold my first 10,000 copies in just a matter of a few weeks. And that was without any internet sales because I didn't know anything about internet. Um, I will simply say this: learn the industry standards for your genre. Those standards are in place for a reason. It doesn't mean that you will lose your voice. It doesn't mean that you lose your flavor. I mean, look at me. This is toned down for me. I write like I dress, okay? It doesn't mean that you lose any of that. But if you want to be positioned in spaces and places that you can stand toe to toe with a New York Times bestselling author, with the USA Today bestselling author, with some of the well, your books will stand the test of time, like some of the classics, then understand the business. I tell my authors, I've helped well over 100 authors to create their own imprints. I tell them, write like an author, publish like a business owner. It is
Yeah.
a business. And if you don't want to treat it like a business, quite simply do a Facebook post or a TikTok video and keep it moving.
And that is so important. You have to decide, are you doing this as a business or is this a hobby?
Yep.
I love that advice. That is so important. What has maybe been the your least favorite book that you've published?
Ooh. So I have a book that is not my least favorite. It was the first of the military series. At the time, I hadn't yet built out my circle to incorporate the team that I have now. I probably would have done things slightly differently in terms of the production of it, but in terms of the writing, I've always followed industry standards in terms of understanding the genre. So I have no regrets that way. Like I got some books that are not yet published that mama's still working on. Those are in the vault for a reason.
Yes, I love that. So when we think about, you said the military, right? Your advocacy for our nation's veterans is deeply rooted in your mission. How does that passion show up in your writing in service today?
So I wouldn't say it show up so much in the writing, but it shows up in everything that I do. I jokingly say I love veterans so much I sleep with one. My husband's a veteran. He served 31 years in the Army, active duty, retired as a command sergeant major. I love the military lifestyle. It was perfect for me. I love moving every 3 years, going to new places, new experiences. I've gone to places that most of my friends have only dreamed about, and actually had a chance to live there and not just visit for a week. I would say that that compassion for other people and the ability to meet people where they are, especially when you're talking about our veterans. They're cranky, they're angry, justifiably so. They feel unheard, they feel left out, they feel looked over. Oftentimes, they feel disrespected. And so, when you're able to meet someone with all of those emotions in a space and still meet their need, then you've worked magic. And I feel that I'm able to do that with, especially in the children's space, where I can meet a child where they are. That child is angry, they're frustrated, they don't feel heard, they don't feel seen, but they don't want a message. They don't want to be preached at. They don't want to feel like they're in Bible study. They don't want to feel like they're in school, right? That's why the genre is so difficult. So you have to be able to take those lessons and hide it so deep in entertainment that the child doesn't even realize that they got a lesson out of it. And so that's how I'm able to take those things and make them work on both sides.
Absolutely, I love that. So when you think about your storytelling legacy, what do you hope readers, especially children, carry with them long after the book is closed?
Oh, yeah, I have a saying that my books will stick to you like collard greens and cornbread long after the book is read. Um, I would want the child and the adult in the child's life to walk away feeling that that child, that experience has equipped them with life lessons that they're going to need as they continue on their journey called life, right? Those lessons that we learned from Charlotte's Web, from Judy Blume, from uh, Ezra Keats, from all of the books that we read as a child, we didn't realize that we were getting these beautiful life lessons because they were hidden in creativity, they were hidden in entertainment. And that's my goal, is that when a child is a parent and they're looking for a book to read, that they will pick up their favorite copy of something that I've written. And then when they're sharing it with their grandchild, that that same book will be there for them to share with that next generation and so forth.
Yes, I love that. So what encouragement would you give to an author who feels called to write but is still battling fear, doubt, or comparison?
Um, First off, there's no comparison. Your story is your story. The only doubt that you have would be rooted in not knowing, and that's just as simple as a book to read. There are too many books, too many videos, too many websites, too many everything for someone who's coming into this business to form their lips to say they don't know. No, what they mean to say is, no offense, I'm either too lazy, too stubborn, or too foolish to go out and get the information. Oftentimes, people are too interested to see their names on the cover of a book than they are to have excellence within the book. If you don't have time to take time to learn, then you shouldn't have time to publish. And if you don't have time to invest in it being published correctly, editors, and I don't mean your friend who took sixth grade English. I'm not talking about your friend that got a degree in English. I'm talking about an actual professional editor. If you're not going to take the time to hire a graphic artist to do your cover designs, or an illustrator, um, AI has made things too easy. I don't use AI. I don't work with authors who do. I'm not knocking what other people do. I don't do it. I don't take stolen art. And that's essentially what it is. It's taking something that someone else has done and twisting the pieces together to form something that you want. There is a better way. The better way is to learn and then feel confident that that book that has your name on it represents you. And you can proudly say that this is my book. And it doesn't mean it's going to be perfect. I mean, come on now, it's not perfect. It's not about perfection, but it's about doing the best that you can where you are and continuing to learn so that the next book that you publish is better and better and better and better.
Yes, I love it. What impact do you want your books and your brand to leave on the world?
Um, Whatever the purpose was that God gave me those words to do. The words are seed. And whatever it is that that reader needs in their life at that moment, I hope that it produces a harvest. And I hope that the next time they pick up the book, that it feeds them differently than the first time. And that for generations to come, they can continue to go back to that story and that they're able to enjoy it and learn from it and grow from it.
Yes, I love that. And of course, we have to ask, how can the listeners connect with you on social media and also purchase your books as well?
Mhm. My books are available anywhere books are sold online, from Walmart.com, Target.com, Books a Million, Barnes and Noble, Amazon, my website, Florenza.org, or WordsToPonderPublishing.com. If you just put in Florenza, you'll see me. My goal is to become a one name like Oprah and Beyonce, that you don't need to have everything else. But right now, it's Florenza.org.
Yes, I love that. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for stopping by the Authors Impact Hub and dropping those gems. Dropping those gems. Obedience. Listen,
Obedience.
that is the takeaway. If you want to know how to lighten your load, obedience and being willing to invest in yourself, right? I think that
Mhm.
that is definitely so important as an author, investing in the illustration, investing in the editing, being willing to take that time out to go and invest in yourself. So thank you so much for coming by. Make sure that you go and connect with Miss Florenza on, so Florenza, one name.
One name.
One name. Thank you for stopping by and chatting with me. Go and connect with her on social media. Make sure y'all go and subscribe. When you listen to the episode, I always share this at the end of each episode. Make sure you share a comment. Y'all always do me proud in the chat. Make sure you share a comment, a takeaway from the episode. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Until next time, thank you for tuning in to the Authors Impact Hub podcast.